to The Current. My name is Erin Curran, host of the talk show The Current, where we talk about embracing change, shifting perspective, and sparking curiosity about topics and industries we may not know much about. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Westbrook business owner Alex Stone, who is the owner, operator, and grill master of Blazes Burgers right on Main Street in Westbrook. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So I've had the pleasure of eating at Blazes Burgers, delicious food you make there. I wonder if you could start out for viewers who may not know of Blazes with a little bit of background about the restaurant. How did you get into the business? What inspired you to open Blazes?
Well, it's funny because I have this is my first foray into restaurants or food industry in general. I had no knowledge, no experience in any of it. So this has been sort of an up and down, really like let's all learn together type thing. And it's been great. I was running a home healthcare agency before this. And, a lot of things happened. State came in. They weren't real pleasant with us. So I saw the writing on the wall and said, I think it's time. Let's look for something else. This space opened. I'm one of those that talks too much. So a lot of people end up saying, put your money where your mouth is. And I get in trouble with that often. I was on the school committee because of that. A lot of things have happened because of that. And so a lot of people reached out to me and said, hey, this space is open. It's time. You got to do it. And my wife and I had talked about it at one point about like opening a deli or something like that. But Westbrook has about 20 of them and they just didn't need another one. But I didn't see that there was a great burger place anywhere around. So, and certainly no one that was like celebrating tots, which that was originally what was the name of the place was Burgers and Tots. My wife did not like that name, so that moved fairly quickly. But yeah, that's kind of where that's the short version.
Wow, so you just jumped into an industry that was new to you and just like, we're gonna make it work, and learn along the way.
It's really all it was. I was on my way to sign my lease. I called my wife for the final time that day and said, okay, it's now or never. I'm going to sign the lease. And as soon as I signed it, I sent an email to my boss and I gave my 2-week notice. And the landlord was like, what did you just do? I said, I just quit my job. I'm all in. Let's get this done. And so he was, and we've been learning ever since. It's been a lot of fun.
Now, how long has Blazes been in operation and open?
So we've been open for a little over 2 years. We had our soft opening on April 15th, tax day of 2018, because that seemed like a fun day to do it. It was pouring rain. And we, up until really, which I know we'll get to in a minute, but up until this pandemic, that opening day was the busiest day we'd ever had. And it was pouring rain out. We had such support from the community, and we have until this day. I mean, it's been fantastic. Great support from everybody.
Yeah, I remember I really think of your place in the summertime with people out on the deck enjoying the beautiful weather. It's such a great location right there on Main Street across from Riverbank Park. And so I love to hear that the community has been really supportive. One of the things I like to ask on this show is how you sense and create community for yourself, your family, your business, and
Sure.
What can you talk to me a little bit about the Westbrook community and what that's been like for you?
It's been fantastic for me. We've been here for about 18 years. I have been heavily involved in the community through coaching, like I mentioned before, school committee, lots of different boards or projects, or really whenever anybody needs anything. One of the great things about Westbrook is we always rally around each other. So when somebody's down, they're out, they're having a problem, we rally around and we try to help them out as best as we can. When I first opened, within a week, I think, of opening, one of my son's friends, who I happened to coach basketball, was diagnosed with cancer. So he was probably 11 or 12 at the time, I think. And right away, our first fundraiser was for him. And we raised, I think, well over $2,000 for him. And just such an outpouring of support from the community for that young gentleman who's doing very well now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It just continued, and we're constantly doing fundraisers or helping out. And I believe in giving back. I believe that there's certainly a symmetry between if I want people to come in, I need to be a part of what they're doing as well. We've given a lot of food to those that are, having a tough time during this.
Yeah.
And it's my pleasure to do it. I think it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
So,
That's great to hear, and great to hear of all the ways that you've given back, even from the very get-go. Not waiting to have that nice, comfortable cushion, but just saying like, hey, this is what it's about. It's about being part of the community, and that you've been in Westbrook for 18 years and so active in coaching, and that's wonderful. I think one of the things that I'm curious, of course, and I know viewers will be curious to know, is how the restaurant has been holding up during this pandemic. You mentioned it briefly, but I'd love to touch on it a little bit more. How have you adapted? What's been most challenging? What's been most surprising for you? And while you talk, I think I will just show folks around your virtual presence as well online.
Sure. We've actually never been busier. It's been, I mentioned before, the busiest day we've ever had was opening day up until this event. We've had several days that have been far busier than that opening day. We've had many weeks and we just got off of one last week. This is the busiest week we ever had. With that, we've also never had more expenses either. I mean, we've actually hired staff during this. So we've added staff during this, 2 to 3 per shift, because now we're doing our own in-house delivery instead of, we used to use Grubhub. Not a fan of doing that. So we did it in-house now. And we also needed one person dedicated to answering the phones. So, we're doing that now. We've launched an online ordering system because the phones were so busy, people couldn't get through. And that's what you're showing now, is that online ordering system. So we don't have all of the pictures of all of the food up there, but we have quite a few. And so it's a really easy system. I think from what I'm told, we've got to navigate some people through it a little bit on deciding whether or not they wanted a pickup, curbside pickup, or delivery. But so all of this, like, we've had to adapt to it. I shut down for 1 week and just sort of said, okay, what do we want to do? I'm in constant communication with my staff. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Like, is this working for you? Are you concerned about this? What are you thinking on June 1? What are we going to, what's your thought of what we're going to do? So it's really, just a sort of a global conversation. I mean, my job is to keep them safe, my family safe, my customers safe. So we're in constant conversation about that all the time. And I think that's important to do.
That's incredible that you've actually hired staff during this time. I think that will surprise a lot of folks who are watching and listening. And just a testament to the community that you're a part of, and the quality of the product that you put out. The pictures here look absolutely mouth-watering. And I know it's just not all about burgers. You also, I've seen you advertise lobster rolls. Do you have any tater tots? I know other specialty items that folks might be surprised to learn that you serve?
Well, I mean, like you said, lobster rolls every Friday. We have a great lobster roll special, 2 for $18.99. We do tater tots. We feature those quite often. We sell a lot of those. Hand cut French fries. So, I'm cutting 100 to 150 pounds of fries every morning, depending on the day of the week. And we're going to start bringing back salads. We do a lot of really good ones, a nice taco salad, obviously a garden or a chicken salad. So we're doing we're going to start bringing those back quite a bit. And, and for me also, it's, the menu, if you look at the menu when we first opened, there was, I think there's like 8 items on there, right? It was like really, really small. And now I can't even count how many. There's so many items on there. And most of those I get from customers. Hey, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Hey, you should add this. I don't take every suggestion, obviously. And it's the same thing with my staff. Like when we, between like 2 and 4 in the afternoon, there's not a lot of activity. So we're just sort of playing around in the kitchen. We just added a burger the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, the John's Burger. That was one of my staff that came up with that. And it's been selling great. And so she's thrilled, that she had made a suggestion and it was listened to and it's been successful.
Yeah.
And it's her. And so that's been great. That's been a lot of fun. And so we're constantly looking to add stuff with what we already have. Like, how do we use, the same thing and just do it a little bit differently, a little bit better, and something that other people don't have in the area. I don't feel like being like everybody else. I've never wanted to do that. But it's fresh Hamburg. It's never frozen. And if it was, then I'd shut down because I don't see the point. So, we're always, like I said, we're always sort of thinking of different things and trying new things. So not all of it works. Some of it's terrible, but candidly, either some of it's terrible or it's just too time consuming and we just didn't want to do it. It was just easier to do it a different way, but that's fun.
Yeah. It sounds like your staff have a real sense of ownership in the place, which is great and makes for a much livelier and more engaging, workforce and committed staff. Yeah.
Well, I think so. I mean, I have a lot of high school students that work here. Some of them I've coached in the past, and I've known for now 7, 8 years, 10 years, something like that. My sons both work here. And so, I want them to have ownership. It's that first job that we all had, it doesn't all have to be terrible, but I do teach responsibility.
Yeah.
You do have to show up on time. You do have to be respectful, but I want to listen to you too. What suggestions do you have? What ideas do you have? And a lot of that is, comes through in the food. Actually, a couple of the menu items have come from staff and they do very, very well. They're delicious.
Nice.
So
I want to steer us a little bit back to the present day challenges, and with this pandemic, it sounds like overall it's really been a positive time for Blazes. Has there been any challenge in particular during this time besides that what you've mentioned about costs going up and needing to keep everyone safe?
Well, I mean, that's been the big thing. Again, we've been fortunate that we've had great success. We worked very hard to break even, a little bit more than break even. So it's still a very big challenge for us. At the same time, we're doing all of this. Most people if they've been here, they remember that we used to have an ice cream shop that was attached to it. Well, they've decided to close down, and we've opened a bar instead. So we've gone through all of that rehab, and we've repainted the walls in the restaurant, obviously cleaning. So we've done a lot of work here to get ready for if we're going to open. And I say it's a big if because every day I go back and forth as to what I want to do. And if we're going to open up on June 1, to allow the public to come in. I don't lose a lot of spaces as far as seating goes, but we don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, to be honest. That's been the scariest thing. And also education. Like I was talking to the Westbrook Business Group the other day and educating people on, hey, we don't take cash anymore. We're only taking credit cards. We're only doing payments over the phone. That costs me a lot of money, but it keeps my staff safe. Yeah. Money is the dirtiest thing on the planet, arguably. So I don't really want to handle it. And we've gotten a lot of both private and very public comments about, well, if my money's not good for you now, it's not going to be good enough for you when this thing is over. A real shame that you feel that way. That's not what it is. It's right. I want to make sure that everybody's protected. You have your beliefs on this whole pandemic, and if it's real, if it's not, or whatever. That doesn't matter. Respect other people's beliefs also. And so that's been a shame that some of that has come out. And then, adapting to the new style. We have, like I said, never been busier. So we need to learn how to recook learn how the timing goes. And with the online system, when all of a sudden there's 15 orders at the same time frame, that's problematic. The grill is only so big,
Right.
but when you have to make 50 burgers at once, that may not happen. So just trying to teach people and also teach ourselves how to set that expectation appropriately. And I think that we're starting to get into that groove. The last couple of weeks, we've done very well with setting the expectation, meeting those expectations, getting everybody on board to do that.
It sounds like, on this show, we like to talk about life change and sort of swimming with the current and how life is constant change. And, from the very start, how you started Blazes, Alex, it sounds like you're someone who just jumps right into the river and goes with it and adapts on the way. And that this pandemic in some ways was just another set of rapids for you to navigate, but that it wasn't really completely shaking or rocking your world. It was just, okay, let's meet the challenge. Let's rise up.
Right. Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, you have to meet the challenge, because if you don't, then what's the alternative? I could shut down. I'd be out for 8 weeks, 12 weeks. My staff would be out for 8 to 12 weeks. I would have lost the business by now because we wouldn't have been able to afford the rent for 3 months. Everybody kept on saying, well, the SBA is going to help you. Well, no, they didn't. Well, other places are going to help you. Well, no, they didn't. So, and I don't like to rely on them. I have gotten the PPP loan. We got something from the city for rent relief, which has been great from both of those. But those are at the tail end. We're just receiving those. So, and while it's been really appreciative, if I wasn't open for my business, and an acceptable answer for me. So I had to figure out how to stay on it, and for my staff, how to keep them working. And so, I mean, I don't have just high school students. I have people that their lives do depend on this. They pay their bills also with this. So I've never been one to back away from a challenge. To your point, yeah, you do kind of roll with it. You're constantly thinking. You're constantly trying to figure out, how do I do it better? How do I do it different? What's going on? What are the new things that are happening that I need to know about? And also, I do ask for guidance and I ask for help. I've talked to other restaurants. I had, you had, I saw a snippet. I haven't seen the whole thing, I'm sorry to say. James Trench Fontaine, you had him on. Well, he and I have gone back and forth. We jived at each other over school budgets and other things. But we talked also, and I called him up and asked him to come in and help me. Hey, how do I do this differently? What am I missing? How do I catch up? And he had some great suggestions. And, other business owners have been doing the same thing. And like I said about Westbrook, that's one of the things that I love about it is, if I need help with something, I go to them. If they need help, they'll come to me. And I help people all the time. Hey, what about this? What's your suggestion with trying to do this? How are you getting in front of people? How are you as busy as you are? What are you doing differently? And so, yeah, I think you have to adapt. I could sit and complain about what was me, but that doesn't help anybody.
Right.
So
I think that's such an important message for viewers. We're always facing challenges and being confronted with something that's not going our way. And I love hearing that message, that it's about adapting, and we're always adapting, constantly. It's never like things finally get to a place where there's absolutely no compromise and things are exactly the way you want them. Life is change. And so the more we can get into the habit of swimming with the current and going and adapting with that change, the happier we'll be, and the more successful, clearly, and busier, and the more we'll be able to give back to your example. Our time is wrapping up. It's flown by. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. I mean, it's not all perfect. It's not all, we don't always get it right. But I'm an adult. I apologize when it's wrong. I fix our errors and we move on. I mean, and I think that you just sort of break it down to the simple of constantly figuring out, hey, did I do it right today? Great. Did I miss something? Could I do it better? Could I do it different? I always am thinking about that, not to an agonizing degree, but I don't believe in the status quo ever. I think that you should always look to change and improve. And if one thing is improved and right where you want it, great. What's next? Like I said, we've opened the bar now. That's what's next. How do I make that different? How do I make us different than everybody else? So, yeah, I mean, sorry. I think that's kind of what we do, what we're
Yeah.
supposed to.
Beautiful. Well said. And with just a couple minutes left, we have, I'd love it if you have anything, any, I don't know, tips or, I mean, you've sort of left us with a cliffhanger, Alex. We don't know what, June 1st, whether Blazes is going to be open, whether it's going to be continuing with the takeout. So that's kind of a cliffhanger to keep viewers tuning back into your social media presence and checking your website. Anything you want to leave folks with, just a parting message?
Well, I mean, stay tuned to social media because I have no idea what this is going to be a game time decision for us. We have no idea what's going to happen.
Right.
We'll always do the curbside. We'll always do the takeout. Again, it's just whether or not we're going to let people into the restaurant. Even if we do curbside or takeout, we're still probably not taking cash for a while. I guess the tip for people is just be patient. Respect everybody else. I mean, if there's a store that's requiring you to wear masks, I just wear it. I mean, you wear a seatbelt in the car, because that's required. It keeps you safe. You may not like it in the beginning. I hated it in the beginning, but you adapt and you have to do it. Just understand that it's everybody else's livelihoods also, and everybody's trying the best they can. And those that are trying, respect them. And, have some patience for them and help them out. Give them some advice if they need it. Shop local. And I'm really big proponent of shopping local ever since I opened this, but certainly more so now. Yeah. Small businesses really are the backbone of Maine, and help them out.
Yeah. Beautiful. Alex, thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate it. And best of luck with the June 1st continuation or transformation, evolution for sure. And keep swimming with the current. Thanks so much for coming on. And thanks for tuning into The Current. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.